Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Talking About the Big Stuff podcast with Michael Cole and Matthew Cravat. I am Michael Cole.
And I am Matthew Cravat.
It's been a long week since we recorded our last episode, Matthew, and
Yep.
Are you still wearing the same outfit from last week?
No, it's a different black polo shirt.
Oh, yeah, I'm wearing a different black Star Wars shirt. No, so we're doing our Get Ahead episode, so this will be, by the time this comes out, it will be 2 weeks old.
So we're talking about a topic that's current events that'll be 2 weeks old.
Yeah. Actually, that's true.
But it's also evergreen.
This is something we should have recorded like 3 weeks ago, and put it out ASAP then. But I actually didn't know the Olympics were coming until like the day before.
So they were over.
But yeah, so we wanted to talk.
So we are doing our big breakdancing episode.
Oh my god, the memes about that breakdancer are amazing because that is 100% my dog. I also like because you've seen the one where it says when your dog smells something interesting in the grass, and then it's just that's one of my two dogs is like that. And then the potty training like a kid or taking a kid to a public restroom, and it's like don't touch anything, and they're like which as a germaphobe that hits at a different level. So we're talking today about, I don't remember how I worded it in our message, but I think
you said that how sports can bring people together.
Yeah. And
in my head, I heard the Captain and Tennille being like, sports will keep us together through all kinds of weather. They were a musical group before you were born.
I've heard of them, but I've heard that, yeah. Anyway.
And they're divorced. They sang a song called "Love Will Keep Us Together," and they got divorced a couple years ago. But they were married decades.
So, I guess I don't want to specifically talk. I want to talk about how sports are supposed to be this like thing that unites us, and I think that there's occasions where it does, and there's occasions where it doesn't, and I wanted to talk about it.
So we're going to talk about Johnny Unitas. Is that what you want to talk about?
Yeah. There's a song, by the way, by Eminem called I'll remember it before the end. Like Home. It's called Like Home. It's off of maybe inarguably his worst album, but it's a good song, and it is an anti-Trump song, and he says he's trying to divide us, but Johnny, he'll only unite us.
Johnny Unitas. So you had to go look up who Johnny Unitas is when you were listening to Eminem?
No, I knew he was some kind of sports person. Football,
That's
right?
Great. Yeah, he was.
Football, and I did not look that up. I knew that. Just like Vince Lombardi.
Just like Vince Lombardi.
And other old football players that I know from
their
legacy.
Vince Lombardi was a coach, but you're close. You're very close.
I'm sure he played at some point, right? Most coaches play.
I don't know.
You
think of baseball.
So
football and basketball, they're not usually 300-pound guy or 7-foot guy. Sometimes, but it's not the norm.
Yeah. So sports, and I think that the Olympics is the one that we kind of use. But I think you're a NC State grad, and yeah, I fucking hate that little move. It looks so stupid. But like people around here are people around here who are NC State fans and not Chapel Hill or Duke fans are very united. But
the way it unites us is against each other. It puts us in camps. It's very tribal and territorial. It makes like you are now my friend. So I was in Nashville 2 weeks ago, and I'm standing next to a coworker who's British, and she was wearing a UNC shirt because she was like going to UNC for some MBA, and a random guy in the lobby of the hotel in Nashville gives her the Wolfpack thing, like to spite her kind of thing. Yeah. And she's like, I don't know what that means. And I said, I got this. And I turned around and I went, she's not from here. They're like a Wolfpack. So we talked, me and the stranger talked. So we instantly bonded over the fact they were both Wolfpack fans and that he wanted to make fun of someone he thought was a UNC basketball fan, though she wasn't. She was just getting a degree.
Yeah. So a year and a half or so ago, I was on a call at work, and you know, we used to have these group calls every Friday that would be a place for everyone to kind of, you know, talk about anything but work if you wanted to, and we could like get to know each other. You know, we're spread out across the country in our department, and especially because of COVID, like some of us had not met in person with others, so like it was a good way of bonding with the team. And whenever the topic would go to sports, I just kind of glazed over. And there, one of the topics one time came up, and people were like talking about, like, you know, the who, you know, we got a couple UNC fans in the office, and we got a lot of NC State fans, and there's one or two Duke fans, and they came to me, and I was just like, I don't know, I'm from a state where we have like real sports, so we don't have to worry about colleges, and I got ripped open. Like it was like you know, we are making ourselves better. That is what college is about. And I was like, oh shit. And this is a person I really like, a boss that I really like. And she was just like, she ripped into me, and it was so funny. Like, but also your title doesn't make sense anymore. I
But
mean,
only you can see it.
it is still true, but yeah, also, that's true. It's
It's
not going to be.
funny, when I started at my current job, it was right when NC State men and women's basketball were ripping apart the ACC tournament and then making it further in the NCAA tournament than they've made it in, decades. At both at the same time, and then the baseball team did really well as well. But so my background in all of our meetings was um, things from the games, like last moments of the games, and it's like people only knew me as the NC State fan when I came in. And I said it's funny because the Yankees were in first place at the time. I said if it wasn't for the fact that State was doing so well, I would have Yankee stuff behind me. But he got
Yeah,
NC State. But I was the same way. I didn't know that college basketball was a thing until I went to NC State because I'm from
yeah.
New York City. We've got two of everything plus Jersey's got some, So yeah,
Yeah.
this
So I pitched this idea to you both today, and you both agreed. Um, and then I'm driving home, and I'm listening to the world's best podcast. That is the name of the podcast,
is
but
that
also
us?
also a descriptor. And there was a guest host on the world's best podcast with Paul Wright, who was me. And I was listening to it just because, you know, I don't edit that one, so I was like thinking about like checking it out. It's probably been 3 weeks or a month since we recorded, so I was checking out the new episode, which you should all check out. It's a good episode about the Acolyte. And I had like literally get in the car, and it picks up wherever I had left off, and it starts talking about. I said on the podcast, because we were talking about Star Wars fans, and as you know, Star Wars fans are pretty fucking terrible. I love Star Wars, but I'm not a big Star Wars fan. Um, and I said I know something about toxic fandoms. I am a Catholic from Massachusetts, raised Republican. I know about bad fandoms, and then we started talking about how you know, Paul laughed and said something, and I said, but our sports fans are terrible too. Like we are bad. Like everything I just said is bad on almost every level. You know, and then I said I'm a Star Wars fan, Catholic from Massachusetts in a Republican family, so I know all about it. And then we started talking about uh, New England sports for a few, and then we started talking about Philadelphia for a few. And so like I was like, oh, these are the proof that sports does not unite us. Uh, even though like the idea, you know,
Well, it's like the hazing that fraternities do or that the military does. It unites that small group
yeah,
to hate other people.
yeah,
Like you have to unite together to fight back against what's oppressing you together.
yeah,
So it does like a microcosm uniting, but on the macrocosm, it's we unite so
yeah,
we can fight everybody else.
yeah. I do think that when you interact sports with other non-sport events, it can have some really interesting moments. So after the Boston Marathon bombing, I think it was the first Red Sox game afterwards, Big Papi gave a speech to the crowd and said, "This is our fucking city," and it got everybody. And I don't think like Yankees fans were like, "Ugh, Red Sox suck." Like I think there was a moment of like, no, we are all united in the way that like whatever the first Yankees game after September 11th probably did the same thing, right? And so it
They
can.
probably kicked the shit out of all the Red Sox fans in the stands just so they could feel better about themselves. Yeah.
But and the same thing. What was it? The Was it there's an iconic image that I can't see, but I know about, and I've seen it. Uh, and I don't know if it's the World Cup or it was an Olympic soccer thing, but it's with the fists up. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I only know sports, not soccer.
Man, the rest of the world thinks it's a sport.
Yeah. Well, the rest of the world apparently stops maturing at 12 when most Americans stopped caring about soccer.
Yeah, well, it's also when they get to start drinking is at 12
Let's
too.
play a sport where we score once in a while, why don't we?
I don't know.
I mean, soccer's fine as long as it's on Ted Lasso.
Yeah, we we got we Logan was getting into soccer, and we got into we were watching him in soccer, but he's also getting into it because his cousin is it's his favorite sport, and he plays. And so Logan was really wanting to be into it. Eventually, Logan got into basketball more, and we got him FIFA. And half the reason I got him FIFA was because he wanted FIFA, and because I wanted to play as the Ted Lasso characters.
Football's life.
It's actually really interesting because I'm sure you're aware of this about me. Several people in my family are aware of the fact that I'm just not a sports person, right? And so when I would make reference to sports movies on vacation, I got like 3 or 4 different comments from uncles and other family members being like, "Oh, you know about that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like I like sports movies. They have a story. Like I will watch a story about anything.
Yeah.
Like if it's
Oh,
a
I
good
like
story."
wrestling when you can determine who they're going
Yeah,
to win, the right team's going to win for the best story arc. That's cool. Real
yeah,
life,
yeah,
sports are stupid. The wrong team wins.
yeah, yeah. The Yankees win a lot of games.
Yeah.
Uh,
But so wait, real fast. Did you watch the IT Crowd? I don't remember if we ever talked about the IT
I
Crowd.
have. It's been a long time.
There's a great episode about they're trying to hang out with guys who watch sports, so they learn all the sports phrases they have to have. I'm like, you see the match last night? Oh yeah, yeah. What a laugh! Having a laugh. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like they had those like catchphrases that they had to use, and they fooled people. Like they were hanging out for weeks with people who thought they watched every match because they knew what to say. That's true for every match. All people. It's funny. I think there's nothing in the world more boring than a baseball game where you don't care about either of the teams.
So I will disagree.
Unless you choose to care about one, unless like I'm going to care about the Bulls because we're going to a Bulls game. Normally I don't care, but I'm going to root for. If you're literally not rooting for this, like you're dragged to a game by a friend and you don't even want to care for who wins. Baseball's all about the suspense. It's a long drawn out game and it's the suspense. And it's not like football and basketball and hockey where there's great plays that you can watch. But there's so few great plays. Oh, the guy ran in the outfield and caught it. And if
Yeah,
you're live, you don't even see it anyway. You can only see it on TV anyway.
yeah.
But
I think
except
that I
soccer.
just
You're right. Soccer's more boring. I didn't mean more. Nothing is boring. It's very
I
few
was
things is boring.
so I mean I like the Durham Bulls. I think it's an enjoyable, relaxing situation. But we're at the Red Sox. Uh, the Red Sox. If you go to a Red Sox game and they're playing a team you don't like, as a non Red Sox fan, you would have a great time people watching because the fucking psychos in the stands at a Red Sox game. Sarah and I went when we were probably I think it was our 6-month anniversary of dating. We went to a Red Sox game,
Oh,
and
you romantic dog, you.
yeah, it was there was just like this shit faced woman, and like 5 rows up was a shit faced man, and we're in the bleachers in the like behind the outfield, and so like we don't have a great view. We're like a mile and a half from anything enjoyable, and but like. She's 3 rows in front of us, standing up, and then there's a guy like 7 rows in front of her, or whatever it was, and they're like yelling at each other. And they're not like yelling at each other angrily. They're like drunkenly
Competing?
narrating the game to each other. It was just so fuck. And he was like, "You're a fucking moron. You're a moron." And they're not fighting, and it was almost like I swear to God, I thought they were gonna have a dance off. That was the energy that they had. Was like there was an animosity, but there was not like, and they were so shit faced. So I highly recommend a Red Sox game. Um, yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, but I would if I go to a Red Sox game, then my second favorite team is playing though, so that's tough not to care.
whoever's beating the Red Sox.
Exactly.
Nice. I was at a Colorado Rockies game in Colorado, and I think they were playing
Convenient place to be.
I think they were playing the Diamondbacks, and there was a point in the game where the entire stadium, in unison, started chanting "Yankees suck, Jeter swallows," and they weren't even playing. And I was like, oh. And I was just like, "This is the weirdest shit imaginable." Because that's the other thing.
That's weirder than Red Sox.
That's the other thing is I don't get I'm not like hung up on a team positively, but I also don't get the negative of what
But you know what your hero George Carlin said. If you root for the same team for more than a couple of years, the players change, the manager changes. You're basically rooting for laundry.
Nice. I didn't know that. That's a good
Yeah,
one.
you're rooting for laundry at that point.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like being a sports fan is kind of like the ship of the ship was the ship
Theseus.
of Theseus.
Theseus.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yes,
but
it was like only the laundry stays the same, but even that changes from year to year. For a
yeah.
couple of years they changed it.
Oh yeah,
It's fucking
especially
more
when
fun to look
they
back at
revamp.
1970s baseball uniforms.
Yeah, they revamp the style and stuff. um. Okay. Well, let's go on to the next part of this. Olympics. The Olympics, I think, are supposed to unite the world and give us a place to.
Yeah, so you know who the best sports watcher is, whether it's the Olympics or otherwise? My wife. Like, if we watch any sporting event, if it's the Olympics or if it's a baseball game, football game, whatever, she will choose who she wants to root for and become as impassioned about that as if it's been her favorite team or player since birth. To the point where she'll have to leave if they're losing because she'll get so upset, but she'll party for a week if they win. So the Olympics like perfect for her because she can just generically root USA, generically root India if they're in it, but also pick any person who's doing well and become a huge fan of that person. And suddenly, I don't know, I don't know if she has an internet connection in the back of her head, but she knows everything about that person. Like we're watching a gymnast and go, oh, she was born in 1970, 1994, and then her mother, gave her 2 antibiotics one day, and now she's a great athlete. Whatever it is, she knows like every little detail.
I've been trying to tell Logan that like between him being on antibiotics and me being on antibiotics, we're gonna be like superhumans going to Italy. Or by the time you're listening to this audience, we will have returned from Italy, or we will have canceled our trip because we are all hopped up on antibiotics.
I mean, it'd be terrible if you lose the prepaid classes you have at the Olive Garden University in Italy.
That is the place the chefs go to learn how to cook. So I don't pay attention to the Olympics, and I will say this: my running joke for years and years was, "Ugh, it's the Olympics. It's that time of year, or that time of not year, but that time of the time where we have to pretend like anybody gives a shit about curling." And I know this was the Summer Olympics, but like that was my running joke.
Yeah.
And eventually I was like, it's a stupid joke, and I don't, and people people care, and again, I don't give that much of a shit about the sports themselves. Like I don't watch the gymnast stuff, but I think I talked to Leah about this last week when I saw her about because she was talking about the gymnasts, and I was like, I think it's really good that they're aging up. The gymnasts are aging up naturally, which is good because I think that there's been not only the abuse scandal, but also like it's not good to have someone be like washed up at 17, like for them, and like so I thought that was good. But like so I pay attention to the human interest part of it, I guess. Now, I don't remember where I was going with this thought. I swear to God, I did not take an edible like Alex kept mentioning.
Okay, I'll do a side story while you try to recoup. Sitting in the hospital with my dad and my brother, we're watching the 3-on-3 basketball, and the one of the U.S. players, and actually I noticed it the day before with Leah, but then Leah and I saw it again. When he did free throws, he was free throwing underhand. And I had said to Leah, back in the 70s, there was this guy named Rick Barry, and he threw that way. He shot 90% from the free throw line, throwing the grandmother shot, as they say, underhand with a backspin. And I remember my gym teacher saying, well, it's great because if you have that backspin on it and it hits the board above the basket, it stops the spin dead and the ball just falls flat straight down. So like that's why he shoots 90%. If you're willing to look that dumb, you shoot 90%. And then when I was watching with Lee, we saw him, we commented about it, and then we saw his last name was Barry. And this guy's name's Canyon Barry. So I Googled him, Rick Barry's youngest son. That's why
Oh,
he shoots that way. And I
that's
looked up,
awesome.
like when he was in the NCAA, um, he shot that, he started shooting that way in college. Like he had not done it, like he didn't do his dad's way, and then he switched in college. And senior year, shot 88% from the free throw line because like it's a almost flawless method of shooting if you're willing to do it.
Yeah,
But yeah, and then I think they won the gold. I think they did. I think they came from behind
nice.
to win. And they didn't do great the day we were watching, but it's like on a later day they sort of like got fire under them. They did better.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, I don't remember where I was going, but
That's
so
why I
anyway,
gave you time. I gave you
Yeah, I know you did,
3-on-3
but I was
basketball.
enjoying your story. I was enthralled in it, and I wasn't thinking of the next thing I was going to say, like you're doing right now. Uh,
I just think about when I was a kid at the same time. Rick Barry and
yeah,
Dr. J, Julie Sermon, we used to be in
right.
Spalding basketball ads on the back cover of comic books, like them playing
Nice.
with the rubber Spaldings and those vinyl balls, just too smooth. Yeah.
Yeah, I would prefer if we didn't talk about balls right now, as I am a little
You're
sore
the
and
one who
active.
brought up, New England
Sports.
sports with an overinflated balls.
Overinflated. Anyway, so the Olympics. So I this year I would say that I don't know that the sports themselves of the Olympics united or divided anybody. Like I didn't hear well, actually nope. Nope, I take that back. Boxing. I wasn't even thinking about boxing. I was thinking more about the controversy with the opening ceremony, but the boxing controversy is pretty crazy and you know and so like
Just more evidence that the right wing of American politics is Russia.
yeah,
Because, the whole controversy started because last year or something, the Russian Federation started the rumor because she beat a Russian boxer. Like this started
yeah.
with Russia.
Oh yeah,
And so, of course, our conservative party has to pick it up because their Lord Masters said it first.
yeah. And so I thought that was a good joke, but is that what is that noise?
I think that noise is my wife on the floor playing with the cat.
Oh, I like the little sexual looks you give her. I hope that's to the to Madhavi and not to the cat.
We have a concern that there's a very, very rare instances of cats getting COVID, and one of our cats has a respiratory problem. He's always wheezing, so we have had the cats locked out of whatever room we're in for days. So it's just driving the cats crazy. They meow all night because they used to be in our room at night. So
Yeah,
she was playing with an envelope. We have in a room with French doors, and she had an envelope stuck through the French doors, trying to play with the cat on the other side of the French doors. Now she's
yeah.
back to playing on her phone quietly.
So the cat or Madhavi?
One of them, whoever has the phone.
No, I did that on purpose. So one of my favorite Olympics stories, which I know did not unite the entire world, but I think it was a great moment in Olympic history, is it is one of my favorite stories that I've ever heard in any category. Is the story of how Adolf Hitler didn't. He told to the other countries that it would be disrespectful or offensive or whatever to send Jewish athletes, and he didn't even think to say don't send black athletes. Like he just didn't. He just overlooked him. Like I love the idea of being when people are that racist that they just overlook something like that. And then Jesse Owens made him look like a fucking fool when Hitler was still
The white race is the most powerful, unless they're
in.
racing against Jesse Owens, in which case they kind of
Yeah,
suck.
I do. I will say though that, and I get it. That sports did not have the career. Sports people did not have the careers. Black people certainly did not have the careers that they do now. But the story of Jesse Owens after the Olympics is pretty sad and terrible. Partly because was a black man in the 30s and 40s, and I don't know when he
Probably
died.
his whole life, he probably was a black man.
Yeah,
He
but
didn't
that's
just become black one day,
not like our vice president.
like our future president. No.
She used to be Indian, and then all of a sudden she's black.
Yeah, just black. She just became black a few years
Black,
ago.
black.
Black.
Uh, um, we also haven't done an episode since Tim Waltz has been announced, and I just want to say that, like,
We just did an episode about fathers, and we didn't talk about him.
that, yeah, chef's kiss to like, they have nothing. They can't. I got. Speaking of my father, I got a message from my dad last night about someone had photoshopped a pretty good Photoshop job. Like it was like an album cover kind of thing. It was a urinal, and then next to the urinal was a big box of tampon, like a wall mounted thing of tampons, and it said tampon Tim, and I just hit the heart, and I didn't respond because if I explain, oh, that's actually like I really like that nickname for him. He's owning it. Like I don't want to explain it. I was hoping that my dad would be like, no, do you not get it? And and I haven't talked to my dad since, not because of that. Just we haven't talked yet. When it comes up, I'm sure he'll be like, "Did you think it was funny?" And I'll be like, "It's
Yeah, the correct
I
response is, yeah, he's going to stop the red wave.
yeah." And I was like, "That's my response." Is like,
Boom.
"This isn't the attack you guys think it is." It's like, "Hey, Matthew, what's with the giant dick?" Like,
Well,
can you
I'm embarrassed
what's
because
it?
the ancient Greeks thought that was a bad thing. They made fun of people for
Yeah.
it.
Oh, he's making. Like, I told you that story, right? I don't think I've told the
When you
story.
were an
I'm gonna
ancient
tell.
Greek?
Yeah, when I was in ancient Greece. So when I was probably Logan's age, or maybe a year younger than Logan. I was at the YMCA in Waltham, or Lexington. I think it was Waltham or Lexington, Massachusetts.
It was probably
Um,
Waltham because I'm familiar with Waltham.
Waltham, it's Waltham. Uh, I was there, and in summer camp, and we would have swim lessons and swim and free swim, and we were in the locker room changing, and this kid sees me. I'm changing out of my shorts into my bathing suit, and this kid sees me, and he goes, "Jesus Christ, you have the biggest dick I've ever seen. Your dick's almost as big as my dad's." And I lost it. I was crying so hard, and I I went home that day, and I was like, he was making fun of my penis. He was saying that I had the biggest penis he's ever seen, and my mom and dad told me the story years and years later. They're like, "You're crying, and we're trying so hard not to laugh because not because
That
your
kid's going to
crying
remember
was
you forever.
no, because like you didn't get that like every guy wants that, and you were just like he was making fun of my giant dick."
Okay, so
Problem
let's
is
improve that.
it hasn't
It
grown
hasn't grown
since.
since then.
That's the problem.
Let's improve. Let's improve that story now. So he said to me, I was real upset. So I left the room crying, and the nurse came over and said, "What's wrong, Michael?" So I told her, and she said, "Well, come back with me to my office. We'll talk about it."
I don't get it.
Because she had to tell the nurse that you had the biggest dick anyone's ever seen, so she took you back to her office.
Oh, yeah,
Cut that out. The CAN network would not appreciate it.
yeah. Anyway, so
So anyway,
we're not cutting that out. I'm telling my big Digger story is going on.
just take my part out.
But I think that the tampon Tim part, that like I really feel like that's what it like, and I'm so happy because the Democratic Party, if someone had said that to Hillary or her Tim, whose name I can't remember, Tim,
Oh,
didn't her wasn't
um,
her vice president Tim too?
um, Kane, Keen.
Tim Kaine.
Yeah.
if they had sent it to that campaign, they'd have been like, "Oh no, we're not, this isn't Tampon Tim," and with Tim Waltz, is it Waltz or
I
Walls?
think walls. I think he's building
Okay,
walls that Trump couldn't build.
nice. With Tim Walz and Kamala Harris, it is them just like owning it and like, oh, this is what we need. Is this refreshing? Like, yeah, of course, I'm Tampon Tim. I'm stopping the red wave instead of like, no, like that old school Democratic thing of the last 10 years or so, being like, no, we're that like weird. I don't know how to jump in on the joke thing, like the way I just did with your joke.
Yeah.
And
I mean, we've had people who are good at it, and then, then we stopped winning. I mean, Clinton was good at it. I remember him being on Arsenio or something and talking about how, yeah, I just talk about issues until they attack me, and then I take it back to them twice as hard. I don't start it, but I don't let it sit there. And
yeah,
he was great at that. And then Obama, the whole they go low, we go high, with his way of like just blowing it off, like you're a child trying to punch me. Like when they took attacks,
yeah,
and it was like he was holding their forehead and let them swing wildly because he was so cool and aloof about it. But
yeah.
I think,
The Tim Waltz the Tim Waltz attacks are way more like the Obama
yeah,
attacks than anything else, because it's like, remember when Obama wore a tan suit?
yeah,
Can he
right.
be impeached for a tan suit? And they're gonna be like, uh,
Well,
look at this
yeah,
picture of Tim Waltz holding a
only a piggy,
pig. Did he slaughter that pig and eat the bacon?
but which would be fine. He's in Minnesota. But there was the thing where, I don't know if it was that picture, but there was some right wing pundit who on Instagram like posted a Tim Walz picture like that, maybe in that one, and with like no commentary. And one of the followers were like, I don't understand. What's the message here? And he goes, I don't know. You can come up with one. Like the person had no attack and
Mm-hmm.
just posted a picture, hoping someone would have something negative to say about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think, sorry, I think even though we've started talking about politics instead of sports, I do think that
same thing.
it, I was going to say, I think that the idea of sports bringing us together can't really work right now the way that it was. Maybe it has worked, or it was imagined to have worked in the past, because if Tim Walz is so divisive, what chance does Simone Biles or LeBron James or anybody else have at uniting when this guy, like, I mean, Tim Walz is doing an amazing job getting the Democrats behind him, but like the fact that he's not getting Republicans to just jump ship and be like, oh, that guy's awesome. Like, yeah, we don't
He
like Kamala,
actually
but
is
that guy,
though. There are
is he?
Never Trumper groups, and Nikki
Oh
Haley's
yeah,
former PAC, the super PAC that was for Nikki Haley. A lot they're coming out very pro Walls. Like that's the best.
yeah,
Like that. Like the fact that Harris picked someone like him shows she actually makes good choices. Like that's our first big choice. It
yeah,
was a great one.
yeah. From the window to the walls.
Mhm. I think as a pair, they're great at responding to Republican attacks because Harris has been amazing about not taking the bait, but smacking Trump down. Like so when Trump says things that are clearly racist when you read between any of the lines, but he's careful not to use words where the direct quote is clearly racist. There's always an argument around it. So then when you
Yeah,
say, "Oh, he's racist," and so show me something racist he said, and they can talk around it because he doesn't come out and say the N word. And
yep,
and she just, well, she's like, oh, he's petty and it's the same old game. And she doesn't call him racist. She just makes fun of
yeah,
what a mean person is, an angry person, and insecure. And they just, all those things hit, and they're not being defensive. They're attacking him based on what he did. And then Walls
yeah.
comes out with like, they're weird, just takes the legs out from under them as if they're nothing.
I heard him talking about it on something. I heard it today. I don't think he said it today. And he said it's the emperor has no clothes. We
Yeah.
all could kind of see it, and nobody could point their finger to it. And he goes, and I said it, and then everyone was like, "Oh, they're weird.
Yeah.
They have no clothes on." And like he's like, and it just connected.
Yeah, and he's willing to make the subtle jokes, like the things like, if Vance
Oh,
come debate me if he can get off the couch. And,
yep,
so I think that he didn't say anything about the rumor. He just made a
yeah,
common expression that people use. And, you can get upset about it all you want, but there's nothing there he just has the
yeah,
guts to go up to the line and push it, which is nice.
yeah.
It's just making a
I
dad
also
joke.
think they both have shown so much charisma too, that like Hillary obviously didn't have any charisma, and I don't
She only
remember
didn't have
Tim Kaine.
charisma on the campaign trail. That's one of the things that killed me. And it's not just her.
Yeah,
Like I remember Bob Dole. I had the same feeling that
yeah,
after his campaign was over and for Hillary after hers were over, and they go on talk shows and they're funny and they're personable. And Bob Dole wasn't nearly as scary. And I'm like, where would these be? Like they're putting on a persona for their campaign,
yeah.
and they chose a bad one. Like they chose a
I
persona
feel
that's
like
not a winning persona.
I feel like George Bush Senior was like that too, where you're like, oh, like in interviews afterwards, you're like very, you know, you're likable, and you just seemed like I remember, I guess, more of Dana Carvey's impression than I
Yeah,
remember of seeing clips of. But I remember him feeling like he was stuffy, and then you see him on stuff, and he didn't seem stuffy, you know. So that's definitely a problem. But and I think, and I'm so glad that they're not. Neither of them is doing that. I also think it's a sexist trap. It's a thing that happens, but like women just get more criticism when it comes to like tone policing, and she has done an amazing job of not sounding like I don't want to say stern, but like you know
I mean, when she does the
women can.
I'm talking, but it comes across as just a slam, not as
Yeah.
a school
Oh yeah, yeah.
teacher being mean. It comes across
Or
as a
yeah,
you
or
should know better, and
but it
it's great.
also doesn't. Yeah, it also doesn't come across as that uh like she feels like she's in on the joke, whereas I feel like it never felt like, I think about, when I think about Hillary and her campaign, the moment that I think about most with Hillary's campaign is uh we want them to Pokemon Go to the polls, because Pokemon Go came out that summer, and I remember being like, this is the worst fucking thing.
Someone
Like,
wrote you a joke that you don't have the personality to pull, or at least the character you're doing can't pull off.
I mean, it's a really bad joke. Like, I
Yeah,
think
bad
that
jokes can be
you
done,
don't.
but like if Tim Walsh
Yeah,
did it, it would come across as a dad joke, and it would be endearing
yeah,
that he did it. Like you can do a
yeah,
bad joke, you just need to know how to sell it. It's all about selling
yeah.
it.
And I feel like uh, Vice President
Because
Harris. I do
that
want to.
same
I
joke,
want to
you could
start
say,
out.
I know you're all out there, you got your phones and you're searching for Pokemon gyms and you're playing Pokemon. Well, how about this? Pokemon, go to the polls and let's win this thing. And that
Yeah,
that wouldn't be funny, but it wouldn't be awkward. It would be, oh yeah, that's cute. She used Pokemon as a cultural
right.
touchstone.
Yeah, and I think she's been riding that
Pikachu's
line
me.
better.
No,
Yeah, see, you can't make that joke work. But beyond the fact that that's a terrible joke, I just think that like she has ridden the line between like she always has that same knowing look that Obama used to have. Like, and I don't really remember Bill Clinton doing that, and that partly could be because I'm too young. I remember Bill Clinton, but I also don't remember
yeah,
the nuance of. But like, there would be that almost, I want to say smug, but like charming smug. Like there's it's probably not the right word, but I think you know what I'm talking about. Where you're like, yeah, okay, Tim, or okay, Donald, yeah,
yeah.
you're like, but you like it when they do it, like they deliver it charmingly, so you're like, yeah, they're being smug, but
Yeah,
and she pulls
smug,
it
not
off
cocky. I
really
mean, they're
well.
being
Right,
confident, not
right,
cocky. Yeah, and Bill
yeah,
Clinton was actually really good at that. I mean, Bill Clinton went on Arsenio and played sax during his campaign.
yeah,
Like, like I said, like Hillary and like Bob Dole, if they played this, I'm going to play the role of this is what I should look like if I'm president. And that doesn't, why did George Bush
yeah,
beat, W beat Gore? Because people said, I felt like I could have a beer with, okay, the Supreme Court cheated. But besides that, people felt like they could have a beer with W. He felt like a nice guy while Gore felt stuck
yeah,
up. Like he didn't feel like your friend, even though he was the more qualified candidate. And people, since we had TVs, how you look on camera is what's important. People want to feel like they know you.
yeah,
That's what Musk was trying to do. Um, with Trump this week. So for when you're listening to this in the future, uh, like yesterday was Musk interviewing Trump on X, and he started it with, "I feel like when you watch debates or press conferences, you don't get to know the person. I just want to have a conversation. I want to sit down and have a conversation so we can get to know Trump." He was just trying to humanize him and make him look better. It was a total train wreck. So thank you for doing it. But but like that, it was the realization that Musk was right on that the character you play in your press conference and your debate is not necessarily the best character to get you elected. Let people see who you are. In Trump's case, that's a bad idea. But in most people's cases, it's
Yeah.
a good idea to see who the real person is, and you feel like you can relate to that person,
Yeah.
unless they're weird.
Yeah. It is crazy. So something that I thought about when you just mentioned the Supreme Court giving Bush the election. It is crazy that we are about to enter our 6th election of this century, presidential election of the century, and we are evenly split between the two parties on who we've had for president. Which party we've had for president in the last 24 years. Going into our 6th election, we're evenly split, and they've only won the popular vote once this century. That is crazy.
I mean, it just shows the Electoral
and I
College
feel like
works
that.
as designed. It was designed to give
Yeah.
backward states more
Not
power,
listen to black people.
and it does.
Yeah. It would be crazy if Trump. I'm hopeful. I'm not trying to say this, but that I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer. But it would be crazy to think that Trump could potentially, because I don't think he'll
No,
win the
he
popular
lose by
vote.
millions.
But I think that there's I'm so much more hopeful than I was 6 weeks ago about.
Yeah, we stopped making our
the
plans to
Democrat
move.
ticket.
We put the plans on hold.
Yeah, but it's crazy to think that he could be president twice for 8 years, and as much as Bush didn't win the first one, Bush won the second one, right? And it's crazy to think that we could have 8 years of Trump as president, 3 elections with him, and he never once wins the.
Well, he did win the popular vote a couple months ago, the 12-0 one in the trial. Get 12 votes there.
Yeah. All right, I'm getting hungry, and I'll just tack on Alex's.
Thank you, Alex. We love you, Alex.
Alex's thing, and then I will say, if you want to do your, do you have anything?
I'll
left
say,
to say?
Thank you for sticking around to talk about the big stuff, because I am Team You.
Remember, the conversation doesn't end here. It's just the beginning. If you have thoughts or questions or topics you'd like us to tackle in a future episode, drop us a line on our social media channels. Engage with this video when you are now watching it as a VOD on YouTube. Send us an email. We love hearing from our listeners, bringing us topics, because if you leave it up to the three of us, we're going to eventually be talking about underwater basket weaving. So we would appreciate you guys reaching out a little bit. Don't forget to subscribe to Talking About the Big Stuff on your favorite platform. Give us a 5-star rating. Engage with it. Criticize us. We need to grow and be better, and you're going to help us be there. You're going to help us get to that point. It really helps us more to reach out and also to keep the conversation going. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next week with more big ideas and more thought-provoking discussions. Until then, stay curious, stay informed, and keep talking about the big stuff.
The preceding podcast has been a Chocolate Diamond Media LLC production. Copyright 2023, all rights reserved.